Hey there, welcome to how to create a market research dashboard using Tableau. I'm Tyler Lubin, founder of Visual Survey, and Visual Survey is a software that connects market researchers to data leading visualizations in Tableau. Now, we're the only DIY tool that can give market researchers Tableau dashboards within one day with no experience required. Now, in this webinar, we are going to talk about how to clean the survey data to get it in the proper format. We're going to be using Tableau Prep as well as Excel to manipulate it some. Once we do that, we're going to go into Tableau and create an actual dashboard. Now, all of this is going to be very simple. You're going to be able to download the data using the link below to download and follow along, but this will give you an idea of how to do it. Now, it is much more complicated than this as well, because you can have a huge survey. You can have a lot of different question types, but we will give you at least a little sneak preview of how to do it if you wanted to get started. Now, if you use Visual Survey, you won't have to worry about any of this. We have mastered the method to cleaning survey data and providing Tableau dashboard templates so that you don't even have to know Tableau or how to clean data. So if you're interested in learning that, please visit our website at visualsurvey.com. All right, well, let's go ahead and start this webinar, and I will see you in a few. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So this is the raw data we're going to look at. You can download this data so that you can follow along. We're going to be using Tableau Prep and also Tableau Desktop. If you don't have that, you can use a free trial and download those first so that you can do this with me. All right, so this is going to be some sample data from Google Forms. Like I said, this process kind of works similar for data from Qualtrics, SurveyMonkey, QuestionPro, SurveyGizmo, all of the major platforms. Every platform, the data exports a little differently, but the foundations are the same. All right, so this is the raw data. Normally you have columns, right, which are going to be different questions. Now, where it gets tricky is certain question types like matrix or multiple choice could have multiple columns associated with one question. So for example, like this one here, this is number 6, whether you use these features available in this software, and then what's in the row. So this is a matrix. So what's in the row with a matrix is graphical presentation, database integration, integrating a website, offline mode, online mode, and then going across your columns, which will be what's in the cell here. So really for this question, you need all of these columns grouped together, and you need to get this part of the column name and then also the answer value. So that's where it gets kind of a little tricky, right? So you're going to have some different situations like this that we're going to have to work through, but essentially you'll have a column for each question, at least one or more columns for each question going across. Each row is going to be a respondent, and each row should have a respondent ID. Now, if you don't, it's all right. You just need a distinct ID for each. So in this file, we're just going to insert a column. I'm going to type in respondent ID, and then I'm just going to put a 1, 2, 3 under it, and then I'm going to highlight it and then fill it down just so that each row has a distinct value. And we need this especially for like multiple choice type questions so that we can count distinct respondent IDs, because you know one person can answer multiple answers multiple times in those type of questions. So we want to count distinct response IDs, so that's why we're going to put this here. All right, so first step, make sure you got a response ID that are distinct so that we can count these. Another thing I recommend, depending on your platform, sometimes you might have the question number in your header. Sometimes you don't. I recommend putting that question number in your header. Sometimes you can get like 2 different exports, one with just the labels and then one with the IDs. I usually then concatenate that so that they have the question number and the labels in our columns, because that helps a lot later on, which I'll explain later. All right, but trying to have the question number and the values of the question in the column headers. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we'll see, like for example, this one, right? This one has 6 different columns, or 5 different columns for number 6. If we come over here and look at number 7, this one's doing something interesting. This one is what makes you continue to use this software. And if we see in here, we have multiple question answers in here. So this person selected customer support, price, upgrade, easy to use, easy to learn. So this was a multiple choice. And whenever the data is like this, we can't do nothing with it. We have to make all of these answer values in its own columns. And we can do that easily in Excel. So if we just highlight the column, we could do text to columns, delimited, pick comma because we have them all separated by commas, hit finish, and then each column now will have one answer choice. Okay, next thing we're going to do is copy this all the way over. All right, so that each column has a column header. And then also I want to make sure all of these columns are distinct. So I'm just going to put 7A, 7B, C, etc. Okay. So this is still showing that these columns are associated with each other because I still got the 7 in there, but these are all going to be different columns because we have a multiple choice and this person can answer more than one answer for this question. All right, so now we have our columns situated like this. So this is a good, so there's just a little data cleaning in Excel before you get going. We're gonna then finish this up in Tableau Prep. All right, so now I got Tableau Prep open. I'm going to now go ahead and connect to that data. So this is an Excel file. Call this the raw adjusted. All right, it's going to go ahead and throw that data in there for me. First step I do here is whenever you get a survey output, you usually have like a lot of columns like IP address, timestamp, that you're not going to actually want to create a dashboard on. So any columns that you don't want, saves you time, go ahead and get rid of them. So in like this example, I don't want the timestamp one, so I'm getting rid of that one. All right, so this looks all good here. Next thing we're going to want to do, which is really the most important step, is we're going to want to pivot this data. Okay, and Tableau, that's in Tableau Prep, makes it real easy. There's actually a step called pivot. In Excel, it's called transpose. Same concept. We're going to pretty much flip the data. All right, so we're going to keep respondent ID here, and we're just going to click the first and the last, holding shift so that all of them are highlighted, and we're going to bring it over so that it's pivoted. Now what it did is, you can see down here, it made all of our column names into rows like this, and all the answers into rows like this, and then respondent ID. So it flipped the data for us. So I'm going to call this column names, and this one is our answers. All right, so this flip is very important for Tableau. All right, so we pivot the data. Okay. All right, now the next step here is we're going to want to create what I call a crosswalk. Now our columns are kind of raw data, right? They actually look pretty nice, but usually in most survey platforms, you got a lot of weird stuff in there. So I want to create a crosswalk that's going to have a column that's called column names, so that I can do like a VLOOKUP or join off of that. It's going to have final question text, which is especially be helpful for like these 6 and 7 because there's multiple columns, right? And also something called an abbreviation, which is like a short snippet of what the question is. So like gender, zip code, name. So it's not like the full-winded, full question text. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to Excel. All right, so now I'm in the original data file. I want to just copy all of the headers. Make sure you go all the way across. And I'm going to open up in a new Excel. And I'm just going to come here and I'm going to paste these, but I'm going to do a paste special and I'm going to do a transpose like that, so that it comes up and down my rows like this. Now I don't need respondent ID because we're not doing any type of cleaning with respondent ID. So we're just going to call this column names. We're going to get rid of timestamp, so I'm just going to delete this whole row here. All right, we're going to add some extra headers. So this is going to be final question. It's going to be abbreviation. So what we're going to do is we're going to pretty much link, right, or join, VLOOKUP, right, the column names to the other column names to bring in final question and abbreviation. Now, final question is going to be a clean version of what the question is. So you see like here, this has like some of the answer parts in it, which we don't want. Abbreviation is like a short snippet of what the question is. These are going to be kind of our titles of our dashboard. So little statements like this is name, this is gender, this is office location, this is software start date, right? So you don't have the whole final question text, you know, kind of messing up your dashboard. So we're just going to kind of play with this, and we can type in really whatever we want. So what is your name? This one is a lot of it you can just copy and paste, which is what I do. What is your gender? This one is going to be office location, or it's really, I asked for your zip code, but this is what is your office location. All right, so you can do some of the cleaning here. When did you start? And I'm just going to copy and paste a lot of this. All right, we just gotta make sure we have one for each. Now with these, since they are the same question, but like I said, this is a matrix, so they're all the same question number. These are all gonna get the same final question text too. All right, same thing with these, all the same final question text. All right, abbreviation. So we're gonna do name, we're gonna do gender, we're gonna do office location, we're going to do software start date. This one's NPS score. Whether you use this features available, so features usage. And I'm going to just copy this for all the way down. And what makes you continue to use this software? So why use software? All right, and we're going to do that. And I'm gonna add one more thing. I'm gonna do a question number. All right, and this one is literally just the number. And like I said, you go on the same number for, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Almost forgot about 4, 5. These are all gonna be 6. This is gonna be 7. All right, you can also add other columns, like I add sometimes a column called insights or notes. Give me notes about this, like this question was asked only to certain populations. This question is a multiple choice, sort of things like that. You can use something like what I call a section heading, which you can pretty much group different groupings of questions, like demographic questions together, or feedback questions together. And that helps you, you know, kind of keep organized. Pretty much you can add a lot of different things here to kind of help you. All right, but this is the essentials. So let's go ahead and save this. I call it the crosswalk. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and jump back into Tableau Prep. All right, so now I'm back into Tableau Prep. I'm going to add that connection, which is an Excel file. All right, we have our columns name, final question, abbreviation, and question number. I'm going to grab that and I'm going to join the data here. Now, if you have the same header, column names, it'll automatically join it for you. If not, you just hit the drop down and it grabs it. But essentially, just brought in that extra columns for us. All right, now we have final question, abbreviation, and question number. You also notice we have column names shown twice. We don't need both of them, so we can go ahead and remove one of them. All right, so this is the basic structure that you need with a couple of helper columns, I call them. Next thing we're going to need to do, if you're going to want to do any type of filtering or segmentation, you're going to have to bring those columns in. So for example, I'm going to want to be able to filter by gender. So I'm going to bring that data in. So we can use this same raw data file that we have. We can just grab it and drag it back in, and we can join it back into the original data set. Okay, now you see it's joining here. What we're going to do is go click on the new data set here, and only columns we're going to keep, so we're going to uncheck all of them. Only columns we're going to keep is respondent ID and gender. Okay, so then once we join it in, you'll see we have all of our originals, and then we have respondent ID, and then what the gender is of this respondent ID, and it'll just be duplicated for that respondent. All right, now we don't need that new respondent ID field because we already got one, so we can get rid of this. And then we can also rename this to just be gender, because this is going to be our gender filter. And you can do that with as many columns you want. All right, so this is the format that is best suited for Tableau. We're going to now do a output step here, which is going to output this to a hyperfile that we're then going to open up in Tableau and then move to the next step into Tableau Desktop. All right, we figure out where we're going to want to save it. Right here, this is the location where it's going to be saved. I'm just going to call this the webinar file. And let's hit run flow. It's going to run it, save in that location. Go ahead and go to that location and then double click that file and it'll open up in Tableau for you. So I'm going to do that now and then I'll show you what it's going to look like in Tableau. All right, so that is the data cleaning process. The data cleaning process is very important. If you don't do this right, then creating dashboards in Tableau is very difficult if you ever try to do it. Now, once again, Visual Survey does that whole data cleaning process for you and streamlines it and automates it. So you just have to follow some instructions and it makes it a lot quicker, especially if you're doing this with multiple surveys or you're doing this on a huge survey. Visual Survey makes this whole process easy. So you don't have to learn this. You don't have to do this. And the great part is you don't even have to create dashboards. We give you custom dashboard templates that you just import the data to and you're off and running within the same day. All right, so next we're going to get into how to create an actual dashboard. This is going to be a very simple dashboard. There are more advanced dashboards and a lot you can do within Tableau with interactive stories and presentations and reports and a dashboard that you can click on multiple questions and it just changes. So there's a lot to that, but we're going to show you how to create some simple charts within Tableau right now. All right, see ya. All right, so we got our data over here. All right, first thing I like to do is click abbreviation, throw it over here in the filters. Let's go ahead and hit all, hit OK. Right click abbreviation here, go show filters. And I'm gonna go hit the drop down and I'm gonna do a single value list. Okay. So this is going to essentially filter all of my data depending on which abbreviation it is. All right, let's go ahead and let's start with gender, kind of the easiest one. All right, so we're going to bring out answer columns. You can see what the different selections were. Next thing we're going to do, remember, we don't want to count rows. We want to count distinct respondents. So we're going to do a calculation. So we do create calculated field. And we're going to do respondent, respondents. And this function is a count D. So I'm going to type in count D. I hit tab to grab it. And I'm going to type in respondent, hit tab. And I'm going to do a count, a distinct count on respondent ID. That's what that does. All right. And let's go ahead and bring that out. Drop that right on the ABCs. And I can see how many males and females they are. I'm going to get rid of this null. And let's go ahead and throw in, let's do a pie chart. All right. So to do a pie chart, we're going to change our marks to pie. We're going to put answers into color. And we're going to put our respondent count. And I want to duplicate this because I have it in text right now, which is good. But I want to duplicate this. So I'm going to hold Control. And I'm going to grab the respondent count and put that in the angle. All right, now it shows up small like this all the time. It's fine. Go ahead and go from standard to entire view to get it in the middle of your screen like that. And we got a pie chart. Now, I don't like Tableau's default colors. I'm going to go with the colors of Visual Survey. So I'm going to come in here and change the color. Make male. I'm going to do, let's see, I'm going to pick a color from another screen. So I'm going to do this blue here. Female, I'm going to do this kind of greenish blue. All right, so I'm pick the colors. Also with pies, I like to do a white border to make it pop a little bit more. I'm going to want to see what the actual pie angle is, so male or female. So I'm going to hold Control and grab answers and put that into labels. If you don't hold Control, it actually moves it from one to the other. Next thing I'm going to do is, instead of doing respondent count, I'm going to do a percent of total. So you see here where the respondent, and there's a T right there that's telling you it's in the labels. I'm going to do a quick table calculation. So I'm going to right click, do quick table calc, and I'm going to do a percent of total. And that just quickly makes that a percent of total. So 70% males, 30% females. Now, to save this, so I don't have to do that for every chart, I'm going to hold Control again, and I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to drag it in my data pane so that I can use this later on. And just going to save me some time. So this is going to be percent, let's say, find the percent button of total. All right. Also, I don't want to use double decimals like this, so I'm going to change my default formatting. I'm going to right click, default properties, number formatting. It's already percentages, which is great, but I'm going to do no decimals. All right, that looks better. Now, I don't do too much formatting here because once I put it on the dashboard, I can kind of resize stuff, change font and all that. So I'm going to leave it like this, but one thing I am going to do is in my title right here, all right, I'm going to change it from sheet name to abbreviation, and I'm going to center it. And do this on your first one because we're going to duplicate this sheet, and it's going to save you a lot of time later on. All right, so we got gender, and we got our pie chart here. All right, and let's go ahead and name the sheet gender. All right, let's duplicate this and keep going. So the next one we're going to do, let's do NPS. All right, and I duplicate it because it saves us some time. Now, NPS score, we're going to do something simple on this one. Let's go ahead and just remove this out of filters. Let's put answers in our rows. And then let's actually, just a little shortcut. I always like going to a text table first. Just makes things easier. So let's go to show me, and let's go to text table. And then as you see, our counts are not right. And that is because it's a quick table calculation and it's calculated a little different than what we had before. Easy fix. All you got to do is hit this drop down, do compute using, and do table down. All right, and it's going to recalculate it looking downwards. Now for this one, I think I want to do a bar chart. So let's go to show me and let's hit a bar chart. All right, let's go ahead and flip it. I'm going to want my percent of total in my labels so I can see what it is. I like my bars a little thicker than this, so there's not so much white space. I'm also going to change the color. I want it to be that it's like kind of pastel greenish blue color. I also want to get rid of this header, so I'm going to get rid of this header here. I'm going to get rid of this header here. And I don't like grid lines in the back, so I'm going to get rid of those too. All right, but essentially you have a percent of total of people who answered 1 to 10. All right, so this is going to be NPS. Let's go ahead and duplicate this one. Now let's do the YU software on this one. All right, this kind of easy. We already got a bar chart, so I want to keep this one a bar chart, but I'm going to flip this one. So let's go ahead and flip it here. And then I'm going to sort. And then I'm going to get rid of this null right here. Once again, I don't like grid lines, so I'm going to get rid of these grid lines. These are our column grid lines here. And this little label here. All right, so why we use our software. Looks like the features is it. All right, so I'm just going to name this why use software. All right, duplicate. And like I said, I just duplicate just to save me a little bit of time. If it's confusing to you and you want to start from scratch each sheet, go ahead. All right, next one, let's do office location. All right, office location has zip codes, so this is fun. Every time I ask a survey question, I always ask for zip code, no matter if I'm going to try to get the city, state, or whatever, just because there's data sources out there where you can just map zip code to county, city, state. So if you just ask for their 5-digit zip code, you can get all that information. Now, you see there is also some bad data in here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new calculated field, and I'm going to call it zip code. And I'm just going to grab the left 5 digits. So I'm going to do left answer, and I'm going to grab the left 5, which is it gives me the 5-digit zip code. And then I'm going to change it from string, which is the ABC, to zip code. So now it's shown as a geographical field in Tableau, and I can do mapping with it. All right, so I'm gonna get rid of answers here. I'm gonna get rid of all this stuff for now. And to get a map going, you double click zip code and it'll get it generated for you. All right, so I'm mapping the data. I'm gonna put my percent of total in my labels. It's obviously not doing it right because it's 100 for all. You just do that compute using again. There we go. Now we're getting some good numbers. I'm also going to put it on my size. So now you see where the concentration is, right? So whenever it's kind of like in a small area like this, I like putting borders around it so you can see the concentration. All right, and then we can increase the size a little bit. We might play with this a little bit later, but here we go. Now we got a little map showing everything. Depending on how zoom in or zoom out you are, you could go up to map layers, and you could add things like point of interest, cities, streets and highways. Depends on how you want to see it, but that's some kind of cool options. And also, if this is all the ones that are bad data, just hide this indicator. All right, so this is going to be our office location. All right, let's go ahead and duplicate and keep going. The next one we're going to do is our software start date. Of course, this is going to be all jacked up, so let's throw all these columns off. And we're going to grab our answers. Now, this is dates, right? So we're going to have to do something similar like the zip code and create another column and then make it a date field. So let's create another field and we're going to do start date. And all we're going to do here is just do answers. So we're just kind of like duplicating the field and just doing answers. But where the trick is making this a date. So now Tableau recognize this as a date. So now we bring this out here. You see now it comes up as dates. Perfect. All right, next we're going to create a area chart looking at this data. I'm going to grab respondents real quick just so I can kind of see what the data looks like. All right, that looks good. Let's go ahead and do an area chart. And we can either leave it respondents or we can change it to that percent of total. All you got to do is grab it and drag it on top and it changes it for you. I'm going to want to see this in my labels. So hold control, put that into labels. You can see what's going on with our software start date. So we've obviously been ramping up this year. Then we can change the color of this. I'm going to go with, let's see, that's blue color. You can add borders if you want, you know, kind of play with this, style it how you like. Get rid of the headers if you want, depending on how you want to do it. Like I said, all of this is really how you want to style your dashboard. I'm just showing you how to get the data in here and how to create some simple charts. But this is a start date. All right, let's go ahead and duplicate. We got a few more to go. Let's do a feature rating next. So let's get rid of this stuff. And we got the feature usage. Okay. Now this one is a little tricky because we have the answers, right? And we also have our column names here. All right, now let me change this to automatic so we can see it regularly. Now what we need to do is we need to get the database integration, graphical presentation, etc. out of this column name. You can do a couple of ways. You can kind of, I call it the cheating way. You can right click, edit alias, and just kind of delete it, right? This will work if you got a super small survey, but it won't work all the time, right? For anything large, because you got to kind of program it. So what I would do is where column names is here, I would right click, go to transform, custom split. I'll say I want you to split it off where there's a dash, and I want the last part of that, which will give me everything to the right of that. And that shows up here, and let's see if that worked. Yep, so that worked. It'll give me the last one. And if you have, like I said, a large survey, this will do that for all of them. All right, so now we have what we have in our matrix rows. We have our answers at the top. All right, we can then reorder this and stuff, but we're going to do a stacked bar chart for this. So I'm going to go ahead and put my percentage total here on the ABCs, and I'm going to show me and a stack bar chart. All right, this is kind of how I like showing my matrix questions. I'm going to go ahead and flip it. Now I want to change the order. So let's do extremely, let's do that in the bottom because it makes it to the left. Very often, somewhat, not so NA. Okay, then we can change the colors, something that makes sense. So we go to extremely, and you pick whatever colors you want. Of course, your colors in here are going to be a little different than mine. All right, so pick some colors. We can do fit entire view so you can see it better. I like to increase the bars a little bit. I don't like all this white space. This is of course going to be a lot smaller once we put it on the dashboard. And then I'm going to hold Control and I'm going to put this in my labels. All right, so this is what feature usage. Okay, now for the name, I'm going to use that as a filter. Possibly, you can just bring name in there. So if you want to filter your dashboard by somebody, you can like exclude a certain respondents or whatever. I'm not going to actually create a chart because it's open-ended. It doesn't really make a good chart. Open-ended stuff in Tableau is not great. So you could just, you know, filter that out or something. So I'm not going to use name here. It's more used for, like I said, maybe taking out certain respondents or looking at data for certain respondents. All right, so I'm just going to keep these as my charts. So we got all of our charts here. Let's go ahead and do a dashboard now. All right, I'm going to change the size of my dashboard a little bit. I'm going to do 1,000 by 1,000, just so I got a little bit more room. I'm going to do a show dashboard title. Let's go ahead and change this. I'm going to call this software feedback. I'm gonna highlight it. I'm gonna make it a little bigger. Let's see, 38 or 28. Let's do like a Tableau medium maybe. I'm gonna change the background color because I'm gonna bring my logo and stuff in here. I'm gonna change my background color. Like I said, all this customize it how you want. Probably put your logo. It makes it look better. All right, so I'm gonna change the background. Probably this text looks better white now. So at this point, this is really however you want to design your dashboard. I'm just going to give you an example, but this is however you want to design it. I'm going to bring in my logo. All right, and I'm just going to throw it in this corner over here. And I'm floating my logo, by the way. All right, you got floating or tile, so I'm going to float it. All right. All right, looking good. Let me make this a little bigger. All right, also, I'm going to put a text box at the very bottom of this with just the website. And I don't know, you put whatever you want here. All right, so especially if you're going to be posting your dashboard on Tableau Public or something, or on your website, you want to put some different information in here. Let's do what else? Tableau semi-bold. I'm also going to make this the same background color. All right, so this is kind of going to be what the styling of the dashboard is going to look like. Now I'm going to start throwing my charts in here. All right, and like I said, this is all just kind of eyeballing it. So I'm going to throw in my map. Let's see, I'm going to throw in my gender to the right of it. I'm going to want to put, let's see, I'm going to put my start date under my gender. I'm going to want to grab a horizontal container because I'm going to put something left to right of each other. I put that under all of this stuff. And I'm going to put my NPS score in there. And my YUs, put those left to right. And then my feature usage, I'm going to put that all the way at the bottom of all those. And you see where this light gray, that's where it's going to snap into place. All right, now you'll notice all of this stuff popped up to the right. It's all right. And I'm just going to click on one, hit this drop down, do select container. It's going to grab all of them, and I'm just going to delete all of them because I don't want them. All right, now you got kind of your basic layout. Now you can start changing fit. So I'm going to click the chart and do entire view right here. You can start moving things around and figuring out, how you want this to fit. I'm going to get rid of this header here, give it a little more space. All right, it looks like this 2000, 2001 is kind of jacking up my area chart, but it's all right. You can make like your pie, you can go back into your sheet, make it a little larger. That's what I said. You don't want to do too much formatting until you get it on there, because you got to be able to kind of spot check it, right? But I think this is looking pretty good. All right. So now you got your dashboard that has all of their different question types. You can then save this and send this up to Tableau Public, or put it on your server, or print this out. You can go to File, print this out to PDF if you want, or it can be a live dashboard. So there's a lot of different options you can do. Hey, thank you for getting all the way to the end. Now, this was very beginner level. There is a lot of problem solving and caveats depending on what survey platform you're using and what question types. Those are the kind of the two main keys. But like I said, this will give you a good head start. If you are interested in our services, we do offer consulting as well as a self-service tool to allow you to clean the data and create the dashboards yourself. Please contact us at visualsurvey.com, and we will be happy to give you a free demo to see how we can solve your pain points, because we know how long this process takes and how tedious it is. So that is why we built this tool, so that you don't have to do it anymore. All right, well, thanks for listening. See you later.